One surface in your office can spread bacteria to nearly half the building in about 4 hours. And some desks end up with more bacteria than a toilet seat, even when everything looks clean. I am Antoni and I have been running a commercial cleaning company for 14 years. Today we are testing the places that get messed to show why contamination spread and how often each area actually needs cleaning. First test. Desk. This is where your wrists sit all day. ATP testing doesn't show germs themselves. It shows biological residue that few microbes can use. This desk reads 294 RLU. That doesn't mean danger, by no means. It means there is food here, food for microbes. Over the next 15 minutes, we are building a pro cleaning schedule, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. And one of the most contaminated places in this building, it is not the toilet. Daily cleaning, the pathogen domino effect. High touch surfaces where spread starts. These are the fastest spreading points in any office. Door handles, push plates, light switches, lift buttons. Hands touch them all day, and hands touch faces around 20 times an hour. That's why these are clean every visit. But the next category spreads even faster because people trust it. Shared tech, the 4 hours rule. Shared equipment is different. It is not just high touch. It is shared between different people. Phones, remotes, touch screens. People touch them, then touch their faces. And in tracer studies, one contaminated surface can spread to nearly half the room in just a few hours. This is why shared equipment is cleaned every visit. It's not about how dirty it looks. It is about stopping transfer. The kitchen, fecal transfer zone. Now, wait. Hang on with me for a moment. I know this sounds a little bit counterproductive, but I will explain why. This is a fecal transfer zone because this is where hands, food, and grocery bags meet. In offices, this isn't raw meat risk like would be at home. It is transfer. Shoe soles go everywhere. Toilets, streets, trains. When a bag touches the floor, then lands on the worktop, that's how fecal bacteria can end up where people eat. And there is another layer people miss. This is food residue. Crumbs, sandwich fillings, warmed meals, vegetables, coffee, tea, milk marks. Even when it looks clean, that residue is still food for bacteria. Worktops are cleaned every visit, no exception, because this is where hands, food, and sometimes fecal transfer all meet. Kitchen sink, growth zone. The sink is a different problem. This is less about transfer and more about growth. People rinse mugs, tins, cutlery. They rinse fruit and veg, and that mix leaves bacteria behind. And the sponge make it worse. It stays wet. Wet lets bacteria multiply fast. Sinks and taps are cleaned every visit. Sponges need replacing or disinfecting often. Microwave. Heat isn't equal to clean. People think heat kills everything, but microwaves don't heat evenly. Some spots get hot, others stay warm. Warm plus food splatter plus moisture is enough for bacteria to survive. And the handle and the keypad, this is everyone's hands all day. This is one that surprises people. At this point, it helps to think in layers. Some cleaning stops fast spread, some resets buildup, and some protects air and long-term health. I have broken that down properly in another video called the 4 layers of a clean office, and I have linked it here. Weekly, the deep reset. Keyboards, the so-called sandwich incubator. This is what I call the sandwich incubator. Keyboards collect crumbs from lunches, skin, oil from hands and fingertips, and warmth for bodies and the laptop's electronics. Even when they look clean, there is always food there. And that food doesn't go anywhere. For most offices where one person uses one desk, this is a weekly clean. But here is the important part. If the desk is shared, hot desks, meeting rooms, libraries, this moves into the daily category. Because now it is not just about dirt, it's about transferring bacteria from one person to the next. That is the difference. Toilets. Daily touch points, weekly reset, and the toilet plum. Toilets have two levels. First, daily. Anything hands touch. Cubicle locks, handles, taps, soap dispensers, flush points, exit doors, and the toilet itself. The bowl, the seat top and underside, the rim, and the floor area around the base. Because contamination doesn't stay neatly on handles. This is the contamination loop. And here is a bit people don't think about. When toilet flush, tiny droplets go into the air. That is called the toilet plum. Over time it settles on nearby surfaces. That's why all touch points and the toilet units are cleaned every visit. Panels and walls are reset weekly, but depending on usage and conditions. Showers, backflow and athlete's foot. When drains slow, water backs up, and that water brings other people microbes onto your feet. That's how things like athlete's foot spread. Floors are cleaned every visit. Drains are inspected weekly. Fridges. Handle inside seals. Handles and spills are cleaned every visit. Seals are cleaned weekly. Bins. What people miss. Bins and the wall behind them are cleaned every visit. Floors and carpets. Kitchen floors are swept and mopped daily. Carpets are vacuumed at least weekly and deep cleaned every 6 to 12 months. Monthly and yearly systems. Soft seating traps dust and skin. Radiators and shelves collect dust, so those are done weekly. Vents and printer filters are ideally serviced yearly. Now, you might look at that and think that is excessive. Daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. But none of that schedule exists by accident. It exists because contamination doesn't stop at what you can see. Let me show you what that actually looks like. Because residue is one thing, growth is another. 48 hours later. ATP shows what's left behind. Petri dishes shows what grows. Here is what we actually saw. The kitchen top, the hot zone, had the most total growth. Food and moisture create a population explosion. The desk, the environmental reservoir, that had the widest mix of life. Skin bacteria, environmental species, even mold. It gathers from people and the space around them. The keyboard, the personal biotrap, was high in both growth and variety. Worm, crumbs, skin, it traps everything. The washroom push plate, the communal handshake. That showed fresh transfer from multiple people, and humidity helps it stick. The microwave touchpad, the hybrid zone, sat on top of old growth with new bacteria added daily by multiple people. And the microwave interior, the so-called fortress, didn't have many types. It had one tough survivor that took over. Heat filtered everything else out. Different surfaces, different patterns, same rule. What's left behind grows. How often you clean decides how much. Not panic, just prove. Cleaning isn't about smell, it's about control. If there is a surface you are unsure about, put it in the comment and I'll break it down. If you want a cleaning schedule that actually fits your site, there is the link in the description to book a call with me. I am Antoni from EcoDrift. Subscribe for practical cleaning content every week. Stay clean, stay smart, and see you in the next one.